I tell you, the Wi-Fi must be a little poor over here because it dragged on.
It didn't drag here, so it looks fine.
Okay, it
Hi.
doesn't look great over here.
Well, it's for
How's it
sure.
outside?
It's beautiful out here. As you can see, I'm in the sun.
And I'm jealous.
Well, you could have come down here, but that's
No, no,
so.
nope. I had to set up the studio in the hotel room over here. So we, we had to,
So,
yeah,
yeah, that's what happens, production manager.
yeah, and I had to get my a passage ready for today's topic. Is in this lovely book that I'm starting to read. It's called Unwrapped.
Oh, is
It's the
it?
pursuit of justice for women educators. It's here, and so but there's a little piece in there that talks about balance, which is what we're going to discuss, right?
Yeah, so let's set the stage first before we jump into it and just say ground people where we are. So
Okay.
we are currently in Anaheim, California. I am here for work. I'm here for a work conference, and part of the balance is how do we stay connected with each other even when we are committed to other things. And for this week, Jason and I have been together and apart. So I've been doing work from 8:30 to 4:30, and then we've been enjoying our company in the evenings, going out to dinner, hanging out with friends and family. And then during the day, you've been doing some work on the management side. So we tried now to blend our work and life in this way to at least, you know, support each other professionally and then personally. So this is a prime example of what the illusion of balance is, right? How we're trying to balance our personal and professional lives in a way that brings us joy.
Yeah, but I want everybody to know that we're kind of enjoying this. I don't want to say kind of. We are enjoying this. These moments in time right now because we seem to have more time, right? We don't have that focus on young children that we have to take care of and bring to events and stuff. um but it doesn't even just mean, it's not even just for people who have children. If you don't have children, you work. um what tends to happen when you start working, a job, especially if you have hours and stuff like that. So we really want to get to, people who are in our age group will understand this wholeheartedly. I think, that sometimes you start working and you know what, you may wind up behind a desk. You may not exercise like you used to or get around. And so the whole nature of of having a balance is to be tough. And so, we have a few folks on, and some people could relate. If you are in a place where you can, put some comments in the chat, please do so, y'all. I mean, let's talk about it. Let's talk about some of the issues that y'all have had in your careers, and what you're trying to do now to change your nature, your balance in your life, right? Um, so that's where I want to go. I really want there to be some engagement. Of course, we'll share our stories, and I did want to share even a little passage from Kendra's book Unwrapped, so y'all can take a look at this. But she does actually, Kendra, in your origin story, Kendra, you talk about balance, or the lack thereof, or how it's not being taught. So, so anyway, I want to just talk about those things and hopefully get people to engage on that front.
Yeah, so here's what's funny, right? So this show starts at 30 minutes after the hour. If you're on the East Coast, 7:30, West Coast, 4:30. And in order for this to work, like I am literally sitting in a square, and Jason is about 100 yards away in the hotel that I could not run to get to on time to get this started. So at the conclusion of this, I'm gonna be running like and change into like some really comfy clothes, and we will reconnect. But this is the part that we are, this is an example of the type of balance we're talking about. Just, all the things you try to do to make it work, the pieces of time or moments that you squeeze in to make work. And sometimes it doesn't work. And when it doesn't work, it can feel like you're always trying to catch up. You're always rushing. And then it turns into just exhaustion, right? This exhaustion of trying to get back on balance. And it's mental exhaustion, it's physical exhaustion. And Jason and I, as I shared in the book that Kelly and I wrote together, I share sort of intimate moments of times where we were way off balance. So balance is here's a little bit of snippet, and then Jason, I'll pass it to you. So balance is an illusion. And if you ever watch a person on a tightrope or a person who is on a unicycle and they are trying to balance, they're never standing straight up, and it's never, there's never this stability, like this hard stability. They're always just slightly moving to the left and moving to the right, moving forward, moving backward. They're trying to find that center. So there's always these mini adjustments that happen. In fact, there's a book called Off Balance on Purpose that was written by, I think, Daniel Thurman. And he talks about that. So taking a little bit of that book, you're always going to have to sacrifice something or prioritize something more than something else, right? It's just the magnitude of that prioritization that could really keep you off kilter or get you close to center. And there are moments in our lives, in our marriage, where we were close to center and then we were like falling off. In some cases, we fell completely off and had to either pull each other up or pull ourselves up and try to recenter. But we always are trying to get to that center. So I wanted to just bring up to the point that you're never, ever going to be standing still. There's always these little adjustments you're going to make, whether they are physical adjustments you're going to make or mental and emotional adjustments you're going to make. But there's always some give. And for us to actually be okay with that, like, we have to just own that that's going to happen. So, but Jason and I, early on in our marriage with our children, we had this conversation the other day. We were off balance. And for those with little kids, or you taking care of a family member or some obligations where maybe even work, it's just this constant movement, right? This constant movement, and some of that movement does not give you joy. And you have to reconcile, or at least reckon with the fact that you're off. And I think it's that point where you have to acknowledge that could be part of life, and then also acknowledge how do you gain back that center. And for some people, gaining back that center means letting go of something. Sometimes it means letting go of people, right? That knock you off balance. It also means reestablishing with yourself and taking care of your well-being in order to get back to that balance. So I'll pause there.
I would interject, and I want to incorporate some comments that we have as well. But I do want to just interject this because you raise a good point, Kendra, in that sometimes you might have to cut some people off, or you might have to do something different. But when you have children in a job or whatever the case, maybe that's occupying your time. For us, it was Julian and Justice, and we didn't take a vacation. You and I mean, a couple vacation for 10 years. That's a decade, right?
Yep.
That when we finally took the leap and went somewhere and somebody watched Julian and Justice, who were at the time 10 and 8 or 9 or so. And so, you think about what that does, to a relationship. And let's call it, and let's talk like this. Let's not even just talk about just on the marital front, just as, with your friends, with your family. You wind up falling out of touch. And when you fall out of touch with people, sometimes, there's no balance there because now you're spending so much time on on your children. And I think, when you try to engage other people, you don't even know how to engage anymore in the different realms that, with friends or family. And so, and that could happen to people who are just so engrossed in their work as well. So with that, I do want to, turn on to some comments that have been made up to this point. And Kelly wrote, for women, balance often comes with guilt. And I'd like to even just address that a little bit. And I would say too, for women and for men, I mean, men who leave and men who go into the service, women who go into the service, whatever it is, or go to work, travel a lot. I mean, I was traveling a lot, and you miss moments with, with your family. Sometimes you might even miss it if your kids are starting to learn how to walk or something. You miss the, you feel guilty for missing certain time. And so I do agree with you, Kelly. I'm right there. I mean, what do you have to say on that? I'll put a comment back up so you can see it.
Yeah. So I think what Kelly might be getting at too is this societal guilt that is put on, right? The stereotypes that are layered for women a little bit differently in our responsibilities. So the idea of going to work and someone else taking care of your children, or you not being home on time for family, or with your husband or spouse or what have you. So those other roles that are deemed to be the role of a woman can have an impact on the way, a mental impact on the way that we think about how we parent, how we, are in relationships, how we are friends, how we are women. And that is stifling. That is stifling,
Yeah,
and it can be damaging because of the preconceived notions and stereotypes that we also lean into
yeah,
because
yeah. I
we're
was going to say
conditioned.
that you put on yourselves, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
because we're
we
conditioned
can
to
be
do that, right?
our worst critics to ourselves. I mean,
Right. We're
yeah.
conditioned to do that. I would say this as the counter to that is, for a few years, Jason, you were, a stay-at-home dad for the
Mhm.
kids, right? And even for us as a Black couple, and what that means on sort of the traditional ideology around being what a dad is supposed to do, what a man in the house is supposed to do, and think about what our children gained from having our two sons having their father in their lives in that way. And so while
Right.
that was a struggle time for us, financially, we were we were in a different state, a lot of things just happening at the time economically. It When we look back on it, you look at the gift of that. In the middle of it,
It doesn't feel like a
oh my
gift.
God, that's when we were off kilter, right? That was the
Right.
off balance for sure that was happening.
And I think too, and this gets to a I think this is getting to one of the comments that's also made, and I may be bungling this up a little bit, with Carlotta and Cara. Um, but so there's the mention of a season, and
Mhm.
I do want to put this up. And the reason why I really want to put this up is because of what you said, Kendra, in that sometimes you're in a certain time and space, and yeah, you're off kilter, and in that example that you gave, this is what 2008, 2009, and then going into 2010. Yeah, that season, I look back now and say how important that was because of what happened in that season, right? We didn't see what was being manifested at that
Sure.
time, right? I mean, you got me some equipment to help me in teaching. I started teaching a little bit, and Julian ended up picking up video production skills and started doing stop motions and started, and then that blossomed to where he is today. And so, I do look back to your point and go, you know what, that was a real blessing. But Carlotta here says, I don't think there's really ever a balance. I think there are seasons, and I think,
That's
Carlotta,
right.
you've been nail on the head with that. You know, sometimes you just seem you're experiencing something, and we can't see past it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You can't see past what's happening, but sometimes you just got to trust, you got to have faith, and you got to know that something bigger is happening.
Well, you also, we're also growing up, and maturing in our relationship at the same time, in our own personal lives, at the same time we're rearing children. So, we are going through different points in our lives, the seasons, as Carlotta's just shared, in our lives, where, we're older and wiser now. And some of the stuff that I thought I knew then, I didn't know, right? You don't know until you fail. You don't know until you experience it. You don't know until there's heartache or joy in any situation, in particular environments, to be able to appreciate the current and to appreciate the situation. But that comes later, as you just said. So the season, so when you're coupling, right? When you are doing this, the seasons are not just collective, they're individual. I was going through, just being in a new location, still trying to figure out how to be a wife, still like how to be a mom, and then this new job. Jason, you were going through your story and your journey, and then we were doing it together. Some of it meshed, some of it we clashed with sort of our thinking, and I wouldn't say fundamental ideology, but our approaches. And that led to, a little bit of ouch moments in our relationship and our marriage and our parenting. And we still here. Some others, those ouch moments are so eye-opening. So I'm gonna use it in a positive. For some people, it's like, oh no, this relationship or this situation or this job was not for me, right? And I needed to get out because it did actually knock me off kilter. And to be on center means cutting those. So I got to a point in my life too, in this season, where to get back to center meant doing something different, right? That meant looking for another opportunity, writing this book, you and I sort of rekindling our relationship in a different way because we are in a different season of our lives.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it's important, for the folks who are watching this or watches this later on, you enter different seasons, you should always try to find yourselves, right? I like to think that finding us is really all of us who are watching or who watch this, we all try to find the better self of us, right? Who we are. And you have to acknowledge that you're in a certain season. I mean, that's just really the bottom
Right.
line of it. And because it does impact how you engage with others. And but sometimes you got again, to the point of that, the illusion of balance. We're never really in full balance. I mean, we're just not there.
And
And
you're lucky if you have someone who can actually pull you back, right? And so I would say that I'm lucky because I had you to pull me back, or to counterbalance on the other side, like, Kendra, I'm not gonna let you fall, right? Like, the I got you, right? And I'm hoping that you always felt like I got you as well, right? And that's comforting to know that someone got you, even when moments of the situation suck so bad, and you're just like, oh my gosh, goodness gracious, I just, yeah, you look back and go, what if you were not there to catch me? Like, what if you were not there to counterbalance? And like I said before, for some people, having someone fall off is a good thing. So I also don't want to say like you have to keep people close to you that are actually pulling you off balance. Like they're the ones jumping on the other side, like ready to knock you off the seesaw. That's not what we're talking about. But yeah, and also being a little off balance provides you with the courage. It gives you also the productive struggle in a way.
And it
Um,
forces you. It forces
yeah,
you to
yeah,
change,
yeah, for sure.
right? When we think, in that the book that you mentioned, Off Balance on Purpose. I mean, I recall reading that book, and that just we've had a number of discussions about this. Look, in order for you to walk forward, you have to put yourself off balance, right? In order to walk, and if you don't put that other foot forward, you're gonna fall flat on your face.
Yeah.
And so, the whole notion is that those are moments where you build your strength. And I think Kara, mentions a time when she and her husband were, going through, what is she? Makes me think of when my husband deployed with a 5-week-old and a 3-year-old, a rough
Hmm.
season. When he came back, me and the kids had changed and
Yeah,
acclimated.
of course.
So these are times where I wish there was a book that tells you how to do all of this stuff, right? I wish there were directions, but you know what? Every circumstance, all of the circumstances around what you're experiencing is unique to you and how you perceive it
Right.
and how you process and react. And so, I know that we had some tough times. I wish, we could always say that it's always been smiles and perfect and everything else, but it hasn't been.
Right.
And that's a fact. But I would say too that we're all the more richer as a couple,
Mhm.
because we have the power to reflect. We have the power of memory, and to and I would say we're more thankful, that the other one hung in there just that little bit longer, and just that little bit longer, and then
Yeah.
just that little bit longer to say we're going to be okay.
Yeah. And I think that's when the work of marriage, or relationships come into it. Like this, there's work. And I know some of my peers who are looking for someone or what have you, and they're just like, "Oh, I don't have to do all that work." Hell, it that comes with the territory, right? We're talking about being in relationship with another human being, a complex person, right? And not to
Hmm.
throw social psychology in here, but just a little bit, right? We are emotional beings first before we're rational beings first. We That's why we're attracted to it. You're attracted to what you see, how you person makes you feel first, not necessarily the intellect, right? It's just like you just like there's something about that person that makes me feel a certain way when I'm around him or her or them. And and so when sometimes that doesn't jive, you're like, well, what happened to that person? Well, they're going through something in that moment that has changed them, maybe just for a little bit. And you have to be like, how do you can you fundamentally see the person all the way through? And then decide whether you're going to fight for that person, fight for that person, fight for that relationship. Because fundamentally, right, as you peel the layers of who that person is, whatever that situation may be that gets him or her or them off kilter, that you're like, no, Jason is still there, right? That's Jason, which is in a rough spot. Now, if the person is fundamentally changed and you can't get with that, that's a whole other story. But yes, it does require work. It requires work, and it requires your commitment to that work, just as parenting does, just as a friendship does, right? Requires work. And there's some things that keep you engaged with that person, and there's other things where you're like cut off. But to say I don't feel like doing the work, listen, that's your prerogative to do that. But what also are you missing out in the learning if you don't put in the work?
Right. I think that's super critical. Um, and sometimes the work is just patience, right?
Yeah.
It really is. So um, I do want to highlight a comment that Carlotta put out there. The point is, The point was that each of you are holding the other one steady on the seesaw. Uh, yeah, so that's right. You know, and I do want to say this because one thing that Kendra and I had as a couple, which was really super over the years, and I think we still work in this same way tandem. Is when Kendra went back to school to work on her advanced degree or master's, I held everything down, and then and so we like you said, it was the seesaw, Carlotta, um, and we made sure that the other person was able to do what they wanted to do and focus. I mean, look, I got to give you kudos, Kendra, on this one because I mean I started the master's program in 2000, right? With Baruch College, and we literally, Julian was born in May of 2000, and I started the master's program in September. And I was working full time, and it was an accelerated program, which meant I went to school 3 nights a week and all day Saturday. So, that was a huge, commitment, on both of our parts. But I mean, again, is you held it down on that, and so
Yeah, don't think that I didn't roll my eyes and suck my teeth. Like,
of course you did.
Right.
Of course you did. I know you did, because every time I came home, I had to look at you in the face.
And I'd be like, you want dinner? You better go figure. You better make yourself a tuna fish sandwich.
Hold on. And so we got a few minutes here. And so I just want to tell people, it's hard to, roll up on your lady, and be like, hey, come on over here. Let me give you some loving over here. Come on.
And Jason was dry for a long time.
Right.
Okay. It's just like, no, no. Right. So
but somehow justice came back into the picture.
And we have no idea how. That poor boy, he has no story behind, like, and so me and your father planned it, and it was this romantic thing. And he's already been told, like, dude, we have no idea. You could be Jesus. Like,
right. He could be Jesus.
Like Justice, we got to wait till he's 33 years old. Y'all, when Justice Bass turns 33 and he starts turning water into wine.
Well, he did that last week, didn't he? Before his birthday, unfortunately.
If all of a sudden loaves of bread and fish come out the sea and they just keep coming, then y'all will know that
something. You know what? He might be the next coming because he can make some great fish. He loves to go fishing.
He can fry fish, and he wants to do mixology. Oh my God, our child could be.
He wants to mess around with alcohol. I mean, wow, he could be
the
perfect Catholic.
But
he's
for
going to be the
real,
perfect
Jason,
Catholic.
like the thing that you were bringing up about those times where we sort of hold it down, it didn't mean that we didn't hold it down without having. I don't want to say it was resentment, because that's really not what it was. Feeling some kind of way. Like, I sure enough had an attitude. You sure enough, when I went back to get my PhD, that probably was another point in our marriage where I was like, we're about to be divorced. Like, it was a lot because we weren't really trying to be there emotionally and then like physically. It was just, we gotta move, and you're just in the motion of, in the mind, like, my intent was finish, your intent was finish, and then we can kind of get back together. And then you realize that for that long period of time of like negating someone's emotional well-being and that physical need, that makes people question whether or not you love them, right? And so for us, we had those moments.
And so you addressed this in your book. For those who don't know,
that's right.
Unwrapped.
With Kelly Horner, 1999 on all platforms. Get your book today.
You do address it, and there's a point where you mentioned in the book. I guess I asked you, and I don't remember this specifically. You did. Are you seeing someone else? And I think it really wasn't because of you going through the program or whatever. I think it was just like, I'm trying to give you a hug, or whatever it is, trying to give you a hug, a kiss, or whatever it is. and there's no reciprocation, right?
Mhm.
So you start, and again, the mind starts playing tricks on you, and or it starts going into, well, why is this happening? And you
Right.
know, when you again, hindsight is 2020. Thankfully, we can be here to give hindsight. The fact of the matter is that you're busting your hump, going to work all day. Then you're coming home, right? You're trying to be a mother and trying to do whatever you got to do there, and then you got to get back. You got to get into books, and you got to study throughout the night, and then you got to go to a study group, and then you got to get on the phone with somebody, and there's stresses a little in every part of those areas, right? Somebody at work is getting on your nerves, a professor's not returning an email, or and you know when you
You just
think about how that can affect a person's psyche, it's a
yeah.
lot. And then to come in there and try to get a hug, I get it now, but in the midst of it, I'm like, yo, I'm over here trying to give you a little hug and kiss.
And I was like, I don't have time for this. Look, I am tired. I gotta finish this thing up. And then and I was like, I promise, it's almost over. It's almost over. Just hang in there. You hung in there.
I hung in there though,
You did.
but it was tough. It was tough,
Guess
y'all.
guess what though?
Anybody watching this know it was tough.
Look, Jason.
I was trying to get a little
Coming up
something
there
and I
now.
wasn't getting it.
I'm coming up there right now. So I don't have time for no hanky panky. We have to go out and stuff. So
You know what it was like, y'all? It was like I lived in New Jersey again and I was living in a dry county. Y'all know what a dry county is when they don't serve alcohol? It was a dry household, people. I was struggling.
Listen, and he also invested in lots of lotion. He
Lotions,
wasn't
soaps.
wasn't ashy at least. You know it's bad.
If I may recommend shea butter, whipped shea butter. No, but you know it's we definitely you know all aside. I mean that's the other thing too. I mean I try my best to break the monotony and everything with with some humor and some laughter, and because I believe if we can get to laughing, if we could smile and we can joke a little bit, then that can break some of the tension, and sometimes that's all you need, and anybody in the audience, anybody who watches this, watch a comedy special or something and just start laughing and get away from the news, so. But no, I appreciate you, Kendra, for hanging in there with me, and we've been a great team over the years, and I wouldn't have anybody else on my team.
I'm trying to be a great team right now by walking back to the hotel. As you can see, I'm making my way. I'm getting there.
So real quick, I know. Look, we're a little bit over time, but we're in Anaheim, California.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that's where you'll find us this week. As you see some pictures getting posted, we're in Anaheim, California. It's been great. We went to this place called the Packing House. So if any of you ever go to Anaheim, it's the Packing House, right, Kendra?
I think it's called the Packing District, but could be it.
All right, the Packing District, the Packing House. Anyway, they got a whole bunch of different restaurants in there. Indian. They had this one place called the Pie Hole, and they have pie holes, right? Like little. They're really like little
donut holes, but
Dunkin'
like
donut holes with stuffed.
Yeah.
But they got this other dessert called a Serial Killer, which is a cheesecake with fruity pebbles in it, and topped with Fruit Loops.
If you know Jason, you know that he has a sweet tooth. So he was circling around like a daggone vulture at the pie hole. Yep, look at him. Look at him. Circling around like a vulture. He wound up getting some pie holes. And last night, of course, we had dessert.
Like you're
too.
filling my pie hole.
I can't even. It's just.
I know, right? Look, it's time to go off the rails, folks.
Oh God, help me!
It's
Please.
a good thing this is not a drink.
It's a damn
Maybe
shame.
Justice was here. We could turn this into wine.
He has to be 33. Remember, Jesus was 33. He all started making miracles. And
Well, I'm sure Jesus was experimenting before he was 33. He had a glass of water and was like,
he didn't get the word of God yet to tell him that he could. So maybe
he
not.
was thinking it. He was thinking it, folks.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Lord shall have mercy on us.
You know when this is long when your feet start hurting. But it's not really that long. But only because I have on shoes is it a long trip. And we're going to stay on until I get upstairs to the room. Is that what we're doing?
I don't think so.
Okay.
You know, we are past our time. And
Yeah.
so I'd like to, just
Near the bar. So if you hear lots of noise, I'm going towards the elevators. The bar is
Well-
getting packed.
Well, the music has been turned on, folks, and that means that
You have to say that one more time because now I got background noise. What you saying?
well, music has been turned on, so that means we're gonna have to cut it short. And look, everybody on this here, we're getting better as we go on. We're getting better as we go, and so we're going to have topics out so that way, a week in advance. We already have a line of topics, and if you have any suggestions, anybody watching this, Akeem, I got a couple of yours. If you're still on, we want to talk about finances. We're going to talk about a number of different things. But if you got questions, topics, just send them to us. Put them in the comments, and we do see those comments, and we'll respond. All right.
I'm on the.
Are you by yourself?
I'm not by myself. There's a gentleman here, so be nice. See, look. Hi, mister. See, look. He see you. You better be nice. And we have evidence of other people. Good night. See, now that's a way to keep you daggone.
This lady is not at work, sir. She should be in the studio working, and she's not there.
He got off the elevator. He got off the elevator laughing like, "Oh my God, what is happening?"
I'm gonna miss my chance.
Listen. Look. Oh, excuse me. Okay, I'm coming down the hallway.
Real quick. I do have to say this for the folks who are here. If you ever come to Anaheim and you stay at the Hilton, right? Be careful not to get a slanted room. Our room is actually like slanted.
Oh my
We
God.
might even have like a little funny video to share with y'all later on, but this is ridiculous. Like, I woke up in the middle of the night and ran into the closet by mistake. I fell forward. Anyway, we've been on longer than we should. Thank y'all all for joining us. We appreciate y'all. And like I said, find yourselves as well and become your better self.
Yep, okay? We're gonna find a bar.
Don't worry about balance. You'll be just fine. And with that, I'll sign off.
Bye.
Peace, y'all.
Jason, open the door. I'm coming.
No.
Oh.